All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Autonomy Podcast. And today I am very happy and pleased to welcome Bhroma. How are you, Bhroma? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. How was your day going so far?
It's okay, yeah, it's been quite busy. I've been working most of today and then got children, so I've been sorting them out for the evening and they've finished for the school, so they're now putting their feet up and relaxing.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, really appreciate that you're doing that on a Friday night as well.
So it's
Thank
my
you
busy
very much.
social life. Or not.
Absolutely. I guess as we have kids, we're more like, geared toward our family than going out and doing things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then that's what stems off like, also taking care of ourselves, trying to lose weight, trying to get into the healthy version of ourselves. It's like juggling a lot of balls at the same time as well. Like have a family, you want to take care of yourself, you have your career. How do you feel like you've been managing all of that like so far?
I think it's been a progressive journey. When I initially started this, which was last year in May, the program was explained to me what I needed to do. It felt like a mammoth task. And one of the reasons it felt like a mammoth task, and one of my sort of objectives was that I wanted to have a meal plan that fit around my family as well. So I didn't want to cook so many different meals, primarily because I have a family and it wasn't just practically possible. So when I looked at it, I was quite nervous. I was quite worried that I wasn't sure how I was going to cope with it.
Yeah.
Although I'm a planner, it still requires a lot more thought. But as I've gone through the months, it's become easy. It's become what I call second nature when I'm planning my meals. I'm thinking about all the right questions in my head and selecting the meals based on that.
I see. Yeah, that's interesting to know. So that leads me to my next question is that what have you struggled with before joining Autonomy?
This is only the second time I've really focused on what I eat in my whole life in terms of sticking to a plan. So the very first time post-pregnancy, I'd put on a tremendous amount of weight. I was 13 stones after my pregnancy, second child, back in 2013, and I was really determined to lose that weight. So I joined Slimming World and it worked for me. It was perfect because I lost 3 stones in 7 months. But end product, I wasn't really happy with. So when I look back at my pictures from that journey and the end of what I looked like, I looked really unhealthy. I wanted to kind of find a way to lose weight in a more healthy way, and so that the end product, I was very happy with what I saw. And I know, speaking to lots of different people, and there's loads of these sort of ways of eating. Lots of people talked about focusing on protein, and I really just didn't know where to begin when it came to protein. As a vegetarian, I just didn't know how to get that into my diet in sufficient quantities such that it would actually have a benefit. That was one of the biggest struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a challenge as a vegetarian to try to find sources of protein and at the same time find a diet that accommodates that as well versus generic types of diets as well that tells you like, yeah, you need to eat this at this time, you need to eat that at that time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. And you mentioned like, trying something before and like you felt the end product was not healthy. How do you feel now versus before when you lost like, 3 stones as you mentioned? Now I'm looking at your progress and you have lost so far like around 12 kilos. So that's around 25 pounds. So that's massive. That's like amazing. So how do you feel now versus before?
I actually like the way I look now more than I did before, because before, although there's one part of this plan which is eating well and the other part is the exercise. Now, one area I didn't ever struggle with was actually doing the exercise. I was very focused on going to the gym. But what I've started to do more in the last 2 years, before I started Autonomy as well, is to do a lot more weight training. For me, this kind of having that with the right meal helped me look the way I look now. And I actually am proud and pleased of what I look like. It's trimming in the right place and making sure that you're building in the right place. So you're not just looking like the life has been sucked out of you, which is what I looked like before. Quite gaunt looking. People actually commented on how ill I looked before.
Yeah, and now how do you feel that changed with the people that you meet or the people that you haven't seen in a while?
It's definitely noticeable, which was interesting because when I look at myself, and I don't know if this is a mental block for people, when I look at myself, I still see myself as slightly bigger than I maybe physically am. And other people see me, they've made comments like, okay, that's enough now, no more losing weight because I think you look proportional, everything is within proportion.
Yeah.
When I look at myself, I don't know why, it's a mental block. And sometimes I see myself as looking, I'm not too pleased with that. So I think that's another big hurdle. I think for me, this is coming towards the end of my kind of journey with autonomy. I'm thinking about how do I change the mindset of accepting what I see in the mirror is good enough. That's the next challenge for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet that wasn't there, like that mindset wasn't there, let's say 6 months ago. Like, these goals keep evolving.
I started this journey with mindset. I wanted to lose weight and I had a drive. I like to set myself goals. I'm very active in terms of the kind of things I do outside of the gym. I love to do challenges. So last year in October, I was hiking to Everest Base Camp and I knew I had to get myself to Everest Base Camp. And I wanted to get there with the least amount of weight on me because that was going to be the most efficient way of getting there. So I had that target in mind and I had a goal of what I wanted to lose. So I think once I achieved that, then I sat down and think, okay, now what do I do? Now what's next? So I had to keep rethinking and keep evolving my sort of thought process of how I want to kind of target my, focus. And now that I'm getting towards the end of my journey, I need to focus my area, another aspect, which is acceptance of what I look like now.
Absolutely. Let's go back a little bit, Bhroma, when you first started. What was the major why, or what was that moment that you thought like, you know what, I need to do this right now. I need to make a change right now. What was the moment for you?
I used to run a lot. I've had lots of sort of challenges with joints. I'm hypermobile, so I've always had challenges with my joints. And it was getting to the point with my running where I just wasn't able to run. I physically wasn't able to run due to pain in my joints and my knees and my elbows and everywhere possible. And I'm of a certain age where women go through the sort of perimenopause as well. So all of that was coming together at one point in my life. I just thought I can't carry on this way because if I carry on this way, there's only one direction. And my family history, my mum is diabetic. Being Asian, I'm predisposed to various, especially diabetes and sort of heart challenges. I said I can't wait for things to happen. I need to make that change now. I'm at a point in my life where I can focus on that. I've got the energy to do that. And so I said it's now or never, because if I didn't do it now, I don't think tomorrow or the day after would ever come. So yeah, it was just all of those sort of smaller things amalgamating to one and just not being happy that if I carry on this way, it might end up going down the road that I wasn't really happy with.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, so that's like interesting as well, that when we try something before and it doesn't gives us the outcome that we look for, we're usually like skeptical to try something else. So what kind of like caught your attention with autonomy that you felt like, yeah, this is different, I want to explore that?
I stopped doing Slimming World and then I went back and gained like nearly 5, 6, 7, up to 10 kilos of weight. And then I thought, okay, I know the rules, I know how this Slimming World works. Let me try it again on my own. So before I was having to go in and do weigh-ins and so forth. So I thought, let me try it on my own. And I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't stick to a way of eating. And it was mainly about eating.
Yeah.
I couldn't stick to it. I kept falling off the wagon. Then I'll be like, I'll start again next week. And that kind of continued for months and months. I just wasn't really happy with what I saw in the mirror. I wasn't happy with what I looked like, with sort of the physical challenges that I still wanted to maintain and do, thinking if I don't do something now, it's going to help me. It's not going to help me. So my brother-in-law, actually, he was the one who introduced me to, he's been doing things in the past. He's actually worked with Nathan. So he referred me and said, why don't you give this person a go? Because they focus on South Asian people, they focus on Asian food. And that was kind of part of my criteria, that I wanted to still have Asian cooking in my meals and wanted to understand, how do I make Asian cooking acceptable to eat in a way that is healthy?
Yeah.
So I thought, let me just have a call. And I had a call and you ticked all the boxes for me, because I didn't really want to kind of have special meals. I didn't have time to make special meals. I wanted to eat family affair. That's one of the reasons that I kind of sort of went down this path.
That's really awesome to hear and really great feedback as well. What did you feel like, Bhroma, strategies that were adopted by your coach to help you also stay on track and feel like, yeah, I'm seeing results and I'm seeing change, I want to keep going?
One, encouragement. Ujita's very encouraging, lots of high fives and lots of positive affirmations in her responses to my meals. But also not just all the positives, if there was something that wasn't quite right, or she felt actually this is not quite what we want you to do, she was very clear on what I needed to do and why that wasn't quite right. I like that balance of positives and sort of areas I can improve on. I like that part of it. The other strategy I like overall with autonomy is, one of the things I'm might even continue to do myself is taking pictures of your food. I thought that was really bizarre. When I was supposed to do that, I was like, this is really weird. But seeing what you eat really kind of homes in. One of the things that stick into my mind, and I say this to everybody, is how much pasta I ate before starting autonomy. It was a lot. When I was first told I can only have this weight of pasta, I think I'm now on 40 grams of pasta. I was just like, how am I ever going to get full? How am I actually going to be able to eat this without feeling hungry? Taking pictures of your food, I think, is really useful to see, because physically what you see in a plate, because usually when you're sitting down around a dinner table eating, you're talking to people, you're just kind of doing this. You're not actually physically seeing what's on your plate. So that, I think, is brilliant. And then I guess the reflection piece that you guys get us to do at the end of the week, reflecting on the goals you've set yourself last week. How do you feel you've done? What changes are you looking to make? It kind of gets you, that I found really difficult, because I felt like each week at the start I was really focusing on, I'm just going to carry on eating my plan, I'm just going to continue as I am. Wasn't really doing the reflection piece, but as time has gone on, I've actually really focused on what I am actually thinking about, and actually what tangible actions I'm going to put in place. And they're small, like for example this week I've got a tangible action of not using my mobile phone at night and going to bed so I get enough sleep.
Yeah.
So just simple things like that. And I think those things really help.
So it's great like to have also that kind of like a holistic journey where it's not only about like, I want you to eat this, I don't want you to eat that, but also covering that stress aspect, sleep aspect, that water intake.
Water intake, yeah, absolutely. Because that's the one thing that, and just also how I'm feeling physically in my body, Urjita was very good at sort of providing feedback of what I could do differently in my diet, for example. So that was really good. It wasn't, she was almost like personal life coach as well.
That's awesome. That's the support we want to give you. Like, it's not only just like the food, it's all aspects of life, because like you're aware, like, if you sleep well, you will be more energetic to even do more steps, to go do workouts, even be in the mood to actually prepare your meals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Sometimes it's, if you're tired, you just want to just grab the first easy thing, and usually it's not the right choice.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a domino effect. Like, if you take care of something and then, it kind of like rolls over to those other things. Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned like, I'm interested to ask you, like, what are things that you have learned so far in the journey that you did not know about in the past? Like you mentioned knowing how much pasta I like to eat, for example. Like, are there...
That still shocks me. And this is going to sound really bizarre, but I never thought about lentils and pulses as carbs. As a vegetarian, I eat enough of that, so I must have enough protein. But being aware of what components of a meal is what I've learned, and that's something that I didn't have knowledge of. Now, I could have gone off and found all this out by myself, but having that person to kind of talk to and get responses back from really helped, because it kind of, the more you talk about it and the more you think about it, the more ingrained it becomes in your everyday life. So when you're doing a meal plan, it's really bizarre, because when I'm going out for dinner, I'm looking at I don't normally do this, I'm looking at a menu. Okay, where's my protein intake I'm going to come for? Okay, how much carbs in there? So it kind of helps you plan, so you're not stressing about it. So all this little snippets of knowledge is kind of a building block of how I'm going to kind of, I guess, carry on with my sort of eating post life after autonomy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense, Bhroma. So that leads me to my next question, is that like you've been on this journey for quite some time, and now like over 6 months, and you're seeing results and seeing changes and transformation in your body. What did you feel like helped you remain consistent throughout this time? Because it's hard to fall off the bandwagon, you know what I mean?
It's really easy to not do the right thing. Having somebody accountable, Urjita was accountable as well, but I also had a physical person in my life. And my sister, I made her accountable. She knew the journey I was on, and we were on a similar journey. So we would talk about having kind of foods we're going to have for dinner, for example. And she would really kind of question, well, is that the right thing? Should you really be eating that? So having somebody accountable really helped me stay on the wagon. And it kind of makes you be honest to yourself, isn't it, really? Because when you know that somebody's going to be wanting to know, okay, what did you eat? Show me the picture of what you ate. You can't really hide behind that. And to be honest, you could lie and you could not tell them, but at the end of the day, all that lying is you're not gonna be able to hide it, because you physically, when you weigh yourself the next morning, it'll be there.
That's when truth comes in, right?
Well, that daily weigh-in as well, I think that was, you asked a question on what I've learned. Daily weigh-in, I think, and I say this to a lot of other people now, I think is a really good way of really understanding what your actual weight is, because your weight goes up and down depending on, various factors. So doing that daily weigh-in and having an average weight for the week is such a great way of measuring yourself, keeping track of yourself, which I didn't really used to do before. I used to kind of weigh myself weekly at the same time, but not on a daily basis. And sometimes, when you saw that weight fluctuate up and down every week, that was very disheartening. So that's another thing that I've quite learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And it certainly helps when you see like the weight fluctuating, that you see those changes coming in from the coach, like let's do this, let's do that. And then the following day you see the weight dropping down and feel motivated again, like, whatever strategy I adopted is working.
And a lot of that is about, I think, just sticking to meal plans. So I never used to have breakfast, and I was told, no, you now need to start eating breakfast every day. And I didn't know how I was actually going to cover that. But introducing breakfast at a sort of good time, between 9 and 10 o'clock is when I would eat something. It kept you going until your lunchtime, which is between 12 and 2. You had something then you had a little snack between your dinner. That kind of kept you going. So there was a reason to introduce breakfast. But you didn't have breakfast, then you get to lunchtime and you're actually ravenous, then you're likely to pick up quickest thing that you can find. So I think that's another sort of planning your meals in your 24-hour clock was really a useful thing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really great to hear. You mentioned, Bhroma, as well, starting on this journey, like your goal was to lose weight, and that kind of like transformed into like, how you want to look as well. Like, it's important for you to look. My question to you is, what is next for you, Bhroma? Like, what is the next goal for you? How are you going to be satisfied as a person? You know what? This is it. I'm happy.
I need something to focus on in terms of when it comes to my training, a target, something to set for. And so every year I take part in various different activities. So I've got myself a challenge for this year that I'm focusing on. But the other biggest challenge I have is cannot do a pull-up to save my life. Women generally struggle with upper body strength. So I've set myself a target. I don't know how I'm going to do it. That I'm going to, by the end of the year, by Christmas, to be able to do 10 pull-ups. I think giving myself those kind of targets really helps me stay focused on the here and now, and it kind of helps me build towards that end goal. If I have to pull myself up, the lightest weight I can be will be helpful to pull up. Otherwise, I'm pulling a lot of my, body weight. So for me, focusing on a particular task or a particular achievement that I want to get out of it will help me kind of stay on the sort of path of this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting how our mind works, because like, let's say if I had a chat with you 6 months ago and I told you like, hey, Bhroma, how about we set a target of doing a pull-up? You'll probably tell me like, you're crazy. Like, I want to lose weight now. So
Do you know what? That is so true, because physically, like I mentioned before, I've always been active. So I've always gone to the gym, and even through my heaviest weight, I've always still remained going to the gym and doing active stuff. But as I gained weight, I remember thinking to myself, oh God, I'm so weak. I feel physically quite weak. And back when I lost all that weight, I was really strong. So I kind of put the two and two together. Okay, because I'm big, because I'm heavy, I'm not physically strong. And yeah, I have lost that weight and I actually look better for it. But physically, I actually feel a hell of a lot stronger. And I just put it down to two things when I was feeling quite down about it. I said, well, I'm getting older. It must be an age thing. There's no way that I'm ever going to get stronger again. Honestly, I think I'm stronger now than I was back in 2015. I genuinely feel physically strong. So the fact that I can then say to myself, because you're right, I would never have said I'm going to do 10 pull-ups or even a single pull-up. I would have just thought, nah, it's not for me. It's kind of helped me have a positive mindset about my own ability.
Absolutely. And it's always like a myth that like plays in the background. Like sometimes, when you're in a calorie deficit, you're losing weight, you're going to get weaker, you're not going to be able to lift more. That is totally not true. Like, especially you can see it in your case.
And I think that's what's really good about what I've learnt here as well, because I think historically my plan was a vegetarian plan and there was no considerations into how much protein I'm eating, how much carbs I'm eating. So I was eating what they were telling me quantity wise and I was losing the weight. And I may have been fast when I was running and stuff, but strength wise, I wasn't able to do the things, half as much of the things I can do now. And in terms of the weight training that I'm doing now, I'm shocked about some of the stuff that some of the weights I can lift. I surprise myself as what I'm capable of. And what was good as well is, Audrey said to me, why is it important what other people think? And I think as humans, we need gratification. We need someone to say, you look good. Not everybody, I do. And my gym instructor, I've worked with her for many years, and she said you can really tell how much effort you're putting in with your weight training because you are just getting stronger stronger and stronger. It was nice to hear that effort pays off.
Absolutely. And let's face it, at some point, we all like that. We want to know that the efforts that we are putting are actually like not only appreciated, but there's like results, there's appreciation, there's
It's
support.
encouraging.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
encouraging.
yeah, that's what differentiates us. Like, we're human beings, we have emotions. So it's important to have that connection as well, right?
But also, I mean, like for me, doing this healthy eating, doing the exercise, it's a way of showing my kids what to focus on for their future, but also future proofing, the future me. I want to do stuff now so that I can still continue to do that stuff later. And so I'm not sat unable to move or unable to walk or, whatever that might be. You have to kind of focus and start doing that stuff now and not wait until your body starts to give up on you before you start trying. So I think that's another driver to get my ass off the chair and start actually doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. I always want to be that positive influence on our children and our family. Tell me, Bhroma, what was the impact that so far that you are having on your family, like right now, on the dynamics of food, of trying to live that healthy lifestyle and like, prepping food and stuff? Like, what's the impact on the family?
So I do all the cooking in my house, but when it comes to, we always do a meal plan together as a family. And now when we sit down together to write down what we're going to have in the week, the first question, okay, so what's mummy going to eat? Is there any protein in this? So what I like about that is the kids are getting educated about what that actually means and why you need to have that in there. In terms of food, I think that they realize that it's not a chore. So, when you hear about diet, people have this vision of what a diet meal looks like, and they see me eating the food I eat. And so, it's all food that they can eat as well. So that's a plus. All the exercise I do, my daughter's joined the gym, my son wants to join the gym. They're very focused on sort of physical fitness and physical health, which I am so over the moon with, because that's kind of what I've always wanted them to do, to look after themselves, their own physical body. So it's just been a positive experience all round. I mean, sometimes the kids are like, oh, no, we're having fish again. I'm like, yeah, we're having fish again. But I think in the long run, I think that they see, I'm fitting into my daughter's clothes now. My daughter's like, wow, you look amazing, mummy. And my son's saying that. So I think it's nice for them to see, and also nice for them to see that you don't have to starve yourself to look this way. And I think that's so important now for the generation of children now, because of the social media influence. Looking good doesn't mean you have to starve. Looking good means you have to eat the right kind of food, work out in the right kind of way. And I think that is such a positive message to be sending to sort of the younger generation. I'm just really pleased.
That's awesome, yeah, and it certainly shows that positive influence on your children as well, that they're understanding those concepts of like food, prepping, exercise, all of that is really great. So yeah, my last question to you would be, Bhroma, is what would you say, like based on your experience so far, tried a lot of things and now this has been working for you, you're almost close to reaching your goals and you have set up new goals as well, and that's how we operate. What 3 tips that you would give to somebody who is joining right now or they are embarking on their health journey?
Have an open mind, so no preconceptions about what that journey will be. And when I say open mind, I also just remove any, negativity that's in your head about dieting, how difficult it's going to be. Accept that it's going to take time. You're not going to see change in your physique within a week. It does take that time. So be open, accept that be patient, I think, and listen as well, because the people talking to you and telling you these things have done this journey through many other clients. They've experienced what you've experienced. So listen to what they've got to say. And I think that if you do all those 3 things, I think you'll be able to stay on the path, whatever journey that is, and however much weight you want to lose, I think that will help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wouldn't have put it in any better way. That's really great tips, not only for anyone who's joining autonomy, anyone who's like doing something new or taking care of themselves or doing a health journey as well. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. It was a pleasure talking to you, Bhroma. Thank you very much for joining this call and getting on this podcast. It was really amazing, and we're really looking forward to the future and with you, and also to get you to do those pull-ups. Like, that's going to be like an absolute fantastic goal.
Yes, I've set myself a mid-year goal to assess where I'm at.
Yeah. We're demanding a video of you doing your first pull-up. That has to be shared.
That has to be shared for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish you a very lovely night and a happy weekend, and I'm really looking forward to the future, and all the best with your health journey, Bhroma.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.